this semester, but the main thing that was implemented once I got there was we were able to kind of take the data that was being kind of pulled to the repository every day on GitHub and manage everything, move everything over to a database. So that really made our day-to-day operation much easier. Run through a cron job, and day in and day out, all that data is being pulled, and we're calculating the index values. And yeah, it's a cool little thing.
For my end, I just mentioned that I'm working on the option and index pricing. Although it's been like presented at the QuakeNet conference, but it's basically applying the geometric Brownian motion open form into like creating like about like you can choose whatever numbers you like, 1,000 or like 10,000 like of like stock paths prices, and then we'll choose like the best stock path that create like the best PNL for us. After that, like we'll base it off on the market, and based on the market conditions, we'll like delta hedge and gamma hedge to yeah to take the profit. Kobe and JR and to do yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I'm basically working on. Oh. Yeah, so right now, yeah, I'm working with MetaMe. What it's basically a Web3 AI data marketplace to give you a very baseline of what they do is they basically collect all your data, structure it into a block on Web3. What they and the block they call the block iCube, and these iCubes you can then basically sell to other companies at your discretion. So you're kind of the owner of your own data, so you have the discretion to a point where like who you can sell this data to if you want to, and you get compensated for it. Now the big portion of this is when you are selling data to someone, there's a lot of risk involved in it. So what I'm working on right now is basically creating uh basically measuring that risk and giving a fair value to the buyer and the seller, because it's kind of the opposite side. So if the data is more riskier, buyer wants to pay less, but at the same time, if data is more riskier, the seller's like, I need to be compensated more for it. So I'm building a risk system that kind of quantifies it. It has 5 different dimensions. Takes into account expert consensus, historical breaches, takes into account what different frameworks kind of quantify, so like GDPR, HIPAA, uh, and then it basically gives you a risk score given whatever the spot price is. And then it runs like a Monte Carlo simulation for like 10,000 times, and it just like depending, it gives you like a it gives you a normal approximation so you can like kind of price the data perfectly for both the parties. Yeah, that's
Yeah. So I worked on 4 projects my entire time here. The first project I joined was actually even before joined this program. It was the PA100 Index. Me, Michael Parker, and Alex Maturi from SIBO was the sponsor. It was right before the reconstitution of Russell 3000. And the index, like, it looked fine if you look at the graph. But then when we examined the Excel code, we found a huge bug that could have actually derailed the entire index if Comcast, our biggest company, had went bankrupt. Because the thing it was doing is like, okay, you reconstitute all the stocks at like like Russell 3000 reconstitution, but what happens within that 1 year if some company goes bankrupt or gets merged with someone else? But the data we are pulling, as soon as it gets merged, like the market cap you get is zero for that company. So